All right.
What are you seeing? Okay. You're seeing the loading button. Do you see this feed? You see Stackhouse? Okay. You don't hear any audio. Let's see. Is he going to be able to hear audio? We're using the webcam that Jack or JR brought, so I think yours. We can't get GWs to go, so the issue is we're kind of limited. We might be able to move that laptop out, but like we're just trying to figure out, we can put this in the audience. I'm guessing you want to face in this stage. And then it's open chapter.
If we don't run this through Maxwell's laptop.
Say that again? All right, so you want the view on the podium. So Jack is on the podium.
What number, Jack? Thank you.
Yeah.
Would you like me to recite it to you?
You probably could.
So you can still see this though, right? Hey, JR, can you join this Google Hangout? Can you invite JR to this, Jack?
Yeah.
So that we can view from him. So this, I can't see the video anymore. He's inviting JR. So we're gonna have Kimber vote on at 11:20. Well, I mean, because we're having everybody come in at 11, right? Then we're doing ritual. So I'm assuming we're going to be 10 minutes behind with people sitting down, then we give ourselves time for the ritual.
No, there's another problem.
And then we can kind of kick off the actual.
Yeah.
I know why.
We're on our computer. All right, that should.
There we go.
So stand up there. Stand up at the podium like you're talking.
All right, can you hear me? JR.
Hey, JR, can you see that?
All right, so the next thing is, we need someone who's not probably. All right, so I'll set up. So speakers, I'll just use the webcam because that seems to be working right now.
Yep.
Hi, Jack.
All right, JR, yo guys, JR, can you hear audio coming from this thing? Here, Dave, whisper into it.
I think this is behind. It's behind.
But no, we just need to see if he's.
Can you hear from your? Is your laptop? You can hear us.
It's a little bit scratched.
So wait, so guys, what needs
Hey.
to happen is.
Everybody, could we just quiet down for like 5 seconds? We just.
So Dave's gonna whisper into this, and then what's gonna happen is we need to see if you hear what he's saying. So Dave,
Is it? Are we listening to us?
Yeah, it's
Okay, so we're good.
we're good on that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound quality.
I can't change the sound.
Wait, the lag is, it's a 30-second lag in video. You're not, like, the audio and the video are lagged in the same,
You,
right?
you can hear it. That's us.
Okay.
We're good.
All right, that's fine.
Close enough, yeah.
We're not having anyone talking live
Wow,
except.
that is really fun.
It's like 30.
30 seconds, yeah.
So no one is talking from the hangout.
Except for Brother Vote, and he's doing that from a phone call. Right, so we're fine on that.
Do you need that audio jack plugged in? For this to work? You want to plug it right now?
Let's see if we need it.
Jared, do you still have the video feed? Is that
Too far. But I think it's like you can hear.
okay?
We're not having anyone
So
talking.
that, is this audio unplugged now?
Yeah, no. I'm not going to say it.
That's fine.
Because we're not talking.
Just to know.
We're trying to set shots during which. But no one's calling it live.
Then
So here's last thing. Somebody's phone. Hey Tim, I'm gonna call you right now. Is that people think I'm still live right now, Jack?
Yeah, but I can.
Something goes.
Yeah, I can hear.
No, don't change it.
Jack, my favorite. Double check nice. You want me over all
Can you hear me, Stankas? Speak. Speak louder. Of course. All right. Yeah.
So I'm going to mute the microphone and camera for now, so the screen is black.
I think so.
JR, I'm sending you a different link. So it's JR77.
Yeah.
JR, I just sent you a new link. I just sent it to JR77. See if we connect.
Did you get the file? All right.
We planned to do it yesterday. I don't remember how we did it. He's a Jared's it's a great sword. It's not
I guess. Yes.
It's JR77. Try that. Hopefully that's it. I just sent it out, so it looks like it's recent. Meantime, I'll set up.
I still got
Doing this. Focusing on that absolute.
I can sign on.
Looks like they cleaned them, yeah.
You mean you practice? Yeah. It's going to make this a lot stronger.
Just listening. Of course.
Sorry about that.
Please, you guys sit down.
We all set here.
Come on.
Defense might
Sure.
So you sit here. Are you speaking? Yeah. What? Yeah. Somewhere in the front row. Where in the front row?
One more request. Silence your cell phones. You know, I expect you guys probably to be on them. I don't care. But keep them on silent or yeah. I'm trying to set realistic expectations. So.
Sigma from 2008 to 2010, and I just stepped down as the chairman of the Sigma Nu Educational Foundation this past June. Tonight, the Regent-elect, Lee Parrott, will be at the banquet as well. I have the opportunity to introduce him. I thought since you, and by the way, one of the things that we try to do is to make sure that any chapter that's celebrating a special anniversary like this has the opportunity to have representation from the national organization. I just ended my career at Bell South AT&T this year ago in June, so this is sort of my second occupation, not my first occupation. But I wanted to bring something special to you. The sword that we are using today is actually the sword that belongs to none other than Greenfield Falls. The handle itself is actually a replacement. The blade itself would have been the blade on the saber that he used the night of the founding of Sigma Nu. After he left BMI, the sword, he actually helped found the Arkansas National Guard, and his troops actually had the handle replaced, and it's actually engraved, and it says to Major G. Quarles. But I hope you'll take a look at the sword while you're here and have a chance to see it. I thought it was really special to be able to use this during your ceremony today. So, it's very much.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. So we have a actually really special thing we're going to be able to do today. We're going to be able to bring in Brother Kimber Boat, all the way from Florida, who wanted to give a opening talk to the chapter.
Okay, not me. So we are going to test this out. I spoke with Kimber earlier, and we're going to try to do a call where he is going to be broadcasted over the audio. So this is Brother Vogt.
No, that was going.
All right, so if we could have everyone quiet down, we're going to try to call them right now and hope for the best.
Is that what it is?
In the meantime, we do have some people here who did a massive amount of work to make this whole thing possible from the Centennial Committee. So I'd like to thank Jake and Peterson and Michael Solzman for all of their hard work to make this happen.
Good morning. Is this Brother Vogt?
This is Daniel.
Hello. So thank you so much for joining us. You are live at our Centennial chapter meeting. We just opened the chapter, and if you have any words, we'd love to hear them.
Okay, it's fine.
So you are live, and everybody in the room can hear you.
Do you want me to go forward now?
That would be amazing.
You would really?
Yes.
All right. Let me extend my personal welcome to all of my brothers in Sigma Nu, Delta Pi chapter, on the 100th anniversary of Delta Pi. Wow, what memories that brings back to me. I was born in 1921. At that time, Delta Pi was about 6 years or 7 years old. 18 years later, I went and Washington University. That was 18 years after my birth. What a time at that period of life. GW was more of a night school than a full university nationally recognized as one of the most important universities in the world today. All of the guys that belong to Build the Pi and live in the chapter house at 1601 R Street Northwest had jobs or scholarship and worked during the day and had to schedule classes in the late afternoon and evening. But they worked and they earned every bit of education you could get at a time like that. It was Delta Pi that appealed to me the most during the rusting season. And so I pledged to pick a new chapter. I was assigned to a large bedroom on the third floor of our chapter house. The room was big enough for 4 single beds, a private bath, and a closet, and a table for books and things like that. My roommates at that time were Frank Malone, who was from Kansas, Bill Holloway, who was from Oklahoma, Frank Snyder, who was from Ottumwa, Iowa. And it was Snyder who first took me to the bedroom to unload what junk I had from my high school days. I had a pile of records, old phonograph records, with the old music of the 40s and 30s and even 20s. And Reed Snyder, being a clarinet player, was rather interested in seeing these records, and he grabbed the first one from the top. He looked at it, looked at me, and I thought, uh-oh, something's wrong. The record was a record by the band leader, Tommy Dorsey. The singer was Frank Sinatra, and the song, The Sweet Part of Sigma Pi. That almost killed my opportunity with another guy in that. And so my good, happy year started then. I thought of you all last night having happy hour at Wrigley. Wrigley was a pharmacy started nearly, I think, around 1910 by a graduate from TW and was still the owner and pharmacy when I was there. And we used to go freely almost every morning for coffee or, of course, Coca-Cola. And it was such a nice hangout and so much fun. And to believe is now the classic restaurant it is unbelievable to me. But I must tell you that being the age that I am, you can't shut me up. But I have a lot of good memories about getting around Congress and the Senate office building. Just as you did yesterday after the morning when you visited I believe it was the House of Representatives. That brought back, again, a number of memories. I'll tell you one final story and let you get on with what you're really doing. This was 1940. It was the year that Franklin D. Roosevelt, the President of the United States, was elected for his third term. He was going to be inaugurated at the Capitol building, and a bunch of us at Sigma Nu just had to see this ceremony. And so a group of us got together. We all got tapes with various young women going to GW. We put together some Bloody Marys, sandwiches. We went out to the Senate office building, which was a new building then. I think it's called, I forget what it's called now, but anyhow, was directly across from the Capitol. Franklin Roosevelt was inaugurated on the, I think it was the eastern side. Yes, the eastern side of the Capitol. And we could look right down on the area and the platform where he was being taking the oath of office. We were on the fourth floor of that Senate office building. We had crawled up through a trap door to the roof. We spread out all our goodies and we walked with awe. And President Roosevelt took the oath of office, and then the parade started down to Constitution Avenue. As we sit our Bloody Marys, ate our sandwiches, and sang. Well, guys, you do the same thing now. Sigma Nu is still producing great gentlemen. You are loyal to your cause, as we all have been. And I remind you, if I may, that Sigma Nu will always be loyal and true to dear old Sigma Nu. Happy anniversary and have a good time for the remainder of your visit.
Brother Vogt, thank you so much. This has been an incredible treat. I'm not sure if you can hear, but everybody was clapping, and you put a smile on each of our faces. So this has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much from all the actives and the alumni that are here. Thank you, and I'm sure we'd love to talk to you again sometime. All right. Are you?
Hello?
Thank you, Brother Vogt.
Okay, I really enjoyed it. Really did.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Well, you're quite welcome. I know you're all one of the groups or something.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Have a great day.
Okay, thank you, Dave Pepin, for helping facilitate that. So as I mentioned, we have a couple people who we really need to thank for helping to get this whole event together. That would be our Centennial Committee. They've done some fantastic work over the years to really help put this event together that the actives could not have done alone. That would be Jordan Peterson, Michael Saltzman, and Jay Patel, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today. But I wanted to give them the floor to talk a little bit, if they wanted to, about what they've done and where they see the chapter going.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Alex. If you can, there are some sponsors that I want to thank, some folks who have given some donations. But first off, I really need to recognize Jay. Jay is the one who had the idea to make this happen. Jay is the one who had the enthusiasm and energy. Those of you who know Jay are probably not surprised. He's the reason. A couple of us, our job was just to help turn Jay's dream into reality. So, and I also want to recognize the officers of the active chapter, Alex, for hanging out with us on Sundays on conference calls to pull this thing off. But most importantly, we have a number of people who gave money, time, energy, effort to make this weekend happen. I want to recognize both the GW Alumni Association and the Delta Pi Chapter Housing Corporation, cared for by Damon Irby and Mark Wardzinski, for providing some funding to make this event extra special this weekend. The other folks up here gave money that's going to go as a donation directly to the chapter. So we're going to be providing some funding to help with recruitment over the next couple of years. So far, we've raised about $2,400. The website is closed, but if you would like to make a donation, if it's $5, $10, $100, whatever you can give, that will go to sustaining the active chapter and carrying this on for the next 100 years would be very helpful. So I'd like to just give a round of applause to the folks listed up here. Thank you very much.
We also are going to have a speaker from the university coming. So what we're going to do really quickly is we're going to be reducing chapter and then covering the original materials and allowing him to come talk, because we wanted to allow the university an opportunity to talk to you guys, our alumni, about where the university is going in their most recent initiatives. I know I've talked to some of the alumni and they don't even recognize this university anymore with all of the new buildings and things that they have. So really quickly, we're going to reduce chapter and we're going to cover up the materials. Okay. Yeah. So the chapter will suspend on the grade of night and resume on the grade of canon. The floor is yours.
I get it.
Well, good morning. I know the last time I saw this thing turning that open and awake and with me this morning. It's a miracle. This should be like the next miracle on earth. My name is Tim Miller. I'm an associate dean of students here at GW. It's good to see some faces from the undergrads, but also there's a few faces in the crowd that I recognize. I've been here at GW for 13 years, overseeing Greek life for about 11 or 12 of those. I'm excited to share with you from the administration a little bit about Greek life at GW, but then a little bit about the chapter, at least from our perspective. I think that's what I was asked to do, so I'm off track. And according to the schedule, I have 9 minutes, and I just used 1. So I will go quickly. I also want to leave time for questions if there are any. Quick things about the university as a whole. 32% of the university is now Greek for undergraduates, which is pretty insane, to be honest, to use an unofficial term from the university. We have 35 plus chapters on campus. Our service and philanthropy numbers continue to be incredibly strong. Our students continue to give back both in finance, but also in time. The sweat that the students put into the community is an impressive thing, whereas in the past, we really just gave money, which is, no offense to many folks, not as hard. So the fact that people are willing to actually give up their time means a lot to us. Grades are at or above the all-Ben's average, typically, and our new member grades typically are always higher than other freshmen. So we still have that going for us as well. And we have a number of chapters consistently winning national awards, both for individual members as well as for chapters as a whole. We have a number of chapters of the year on this campus every single year. We recently completed the work of the task force whose goal was to, according to the president, when we asked him about wanting to create the model Greek community at GW that every other campus in the country could follow. And we have now completed the work of that group to basically set out 1 to 8 year goals to create that sort of guideline, roadmap, however we want to talk about it. It includes everything from our philanthropy and service to our risk management to what do we do about Russian recruitment. You should know that one of the groups that will be formed out of that task force is a group to study the potential need to move recruitment to spring semester rather than in the fall. It's an ongoing conversation across the country. It's one that we're going to have, but it's one that we're going to take some time to do versus just say, yes, no, let's do it on the way. The growth of Greek life comes from a lot of different reasons. One reason that I will share with you, 1, because he's a friend of the Garrison, but 2, because it's the truth. We have increased Greek housing dramatically. When I came here, we had 1 chapter in Greek housing on the campus, 1. We now have over 20. We've taken over residence halls, we're sort of taking over housing. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that you are able to be accept one shell. So Seth is a good friend of you, he's also a good friend of the community, and good friends also hold their friends accountable. So Seth works hard in the community, we work hard together with our staff to make sure that the Greeks are living up to what we provide them. The concept that we have as many people in housing as we do, over 600-ish in Greek housing, is a pretty amazing statistic on an urban campus. The fact that we sacrificed an entire block on 23rd Street to build only 4 levels of housing when we could have probably built 8 is a testament to the want to create Greek housing versus just housing. So that has a lot to do with why we grow this community. So Sigma Nu specifically, I was thinking about this on the way out of campus late last night and then back in this morning. This week is my 20th anniversary as a fraternity man myself, and I was thinking that, oh, that sounds like a long time. I'm like, actually, I'm going to go talk to the guys who've been doing this for 100, not each of you, obviously. But the history of that is pretty amazing. That doesn't happen. In this day and age, where Greeks continue to be on the spotlight, rarely for good things, having a chapter exist for 100 years is a pretty incredible achievement. So I guess I congratulate you for being the Cal Ripken and Brent Favre of GW. Because it is rare, and hopefully we won't do the whole retirement and non-retirement thing. I remember my own experience meeting with the chapter of 6 at one point a few years ago in West Hall, and most of you might not know what I'm talking about. That's on Mount Vernon. Met with 6 guys and talked about, what are you guys doing? Like, what are we doing next? Where are you going from to get it from 6 guys? And I remember that meeting, that discussion, and I remember they're saying, we're going to figure this out. You're here today because they figured it out. And I'm not just crediting those 6 guys, but people figured it out over time in Sigma Nu when other groups did it. When other groups took the easy road, when other groups decided not to work hard, Sigma Nu figured it out. There was a time on this campus, and I don't think I'm saying anything anyone doesn't know, when you asked about Sigma Nu, and people said Sigma Nu. Okay, that's a reality. The reality today, in my opinion, is now those chapters, because it's mostly Greeks who basically crap on other Greeks, say Sigma Nu, they look behind them and they realize, oh wait, they just passed us. That's where you are as a chapter, in my opinion. That's where you guys are as a chapter, in my opinion. Those guys say that, and you're like, whoa, you're past. You've decided to be different, and not in a, we're different to be different, we're unique. They're actually a different group because they're okay not doing what everybody else does. Last thing I'll just share is, I often get asked, it's my least favorite question on campus, it's almost always from the president's office. What keeps you up at night? What groups keep you up at night? Sigma Nu has never kept me up at night in its history that I've been here. But what a lot of men of Sigma Nu do, including as I see faces of Tim Stackhouse and other guys I work with, they're the guys that make you want to come to work every day. Because they're going to do the right stuff. They're going to deal with the negatives that come up every once in a while in the right way. So that's all I wanted to share. I congratulate you very much on this incredible accomplishment. I will not be here for the next 100-year celebration, either here or here, period. But definitely want you to know that we as a university appreciate your commitment, and to see this many again. I am not joking when I say this never happens. To see this many men, let alone fraternity men, awake this early to celebrate something, and I know you already had a happy hour on this thing. I'm sure it wasn't an hour. So with that, I'm happy to take questions, comments, anything from the crowd, or just get out of the way if I'm past my 9 minutes. Yes?
So Tim, one question I had is, we kind of alluded to this with the fraternity being in the news. There have been a number of cases where fraternities, chapters get their names dragged through the mud, but later turns out to be untrue and pretty scurrilous. What are you and the university doing to make sure that you take a fair and even-handed assessment to anything that may come up now or in the future, so that we don't all have to pick up a newspaper and read a headline we know it's not true, but the university isn't in the corner back in.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I'll try and answer it quickly, but with a couple of quick points. One, I know that no matter what I ever do, I will always be the guy that the students are convinced is the bad guy. I've now in my career been called Dean Wormer twice. Once by a parent, once by a student. The parent was the one that really scared me. The student scared me because I'm like, you haven't even seen that movie. But I think for us, we try and be really balanced, but at the same time, I have a very high expectation of our groups. For years, I've never allowed my fraternity on this campus on purpose. My grand little is the expansion coordinator of the fraternity. Every year he calls me, and every year I say no. And I do that because I don't want my chapter here, because the chapter is going to think I'm harder on them than everybody else, and everyone else is going to think I'm nicer with them than everyone else. So I will be honest, there is no one harder on groups when they do things wrong than me. There's also no one who's a better advocate and a bigger advocate for groups when they do it right. And what I would say is, every day, I will tell you very honestly, this is not public, so I don't tell the hatchet. We have already had a significant number of hazing reports this year. We don't immediately go in and close a chapter because of one report. We spend a lot of time studying and trying to find out if stuff is true before we take action. It's annoying because students are like, this was 2 months ago, this allegedly happened, and now you're just getting to us. I'm like, would you rather me go quick and just say you did it even though I have no proof, or do you want me to take the time? So our philosophy has always been, there's this side, and the truth. We want to get to the truth, so it's going to take time. But I also know no matter how we do it, people will think that we're acting too quickly sometimes, and others are going to think we're acting too slowly. I think for me, the end result is trying to be balanced with it. But it's hard.
Hi, good morning, Tim. Good morning, it's class of 99. I was hoping that you could speak about what the university is doing to raise awareness and education of sexual assault on campus, how our Bill Devon here are hopefully leading the way and respecting our female guests in this product.
Great, it's a great question. So this year we actually launched a number of basically a comprehensive approach. So at orientation, CI, colonial migration, we still call it that because it were here a while ago. We had a session during that time period, basically educate freshmen on the way in about everything from consent and what consent looks like through sort of what warning signs are and things like that. Then we had an online training that was required and mandatory for all students that they had to take, again, incoming students. And then again, this fall, we had mandatory in-person sessions for all freshmen. The problem with that is that's just freshmen. So we've also been working with the Students Against Sexual Assault, and they do ongoing programs. A lot of our fraternities work with them on it, and actually have sessions come in. I actually don't know if Sigma-Days had them come in and do a session yet, but SASA, which is their nickname, will come in and do sessions on sexual assault on college campuses. The challenge I always have is we are not doing enough because it's always going to continue at some level, but that means we always have to keep moving forward and figuring it out. I think Greeks can and should take leadership on it. I think today, for those of you that are around, I know the fraternity CBT is taking the leadership role. You're doing a green light, no game, so red light, green light, but it's surrounded around consent and helping educate people around the concept of consent. And they're also having to try and set a Guinness World Record for the number of people playing red light, green light. So it's one of those things that I love that pursuing because they're taking something that's sort of fun and engaging and using that to educate folks. So we have, I think, a responsibility and an ability to do that kind of stuff that we have to take as Greeks because we are at our core values-based organizations. So I was literally in a very long argument for 3 hours last night with a bunch of fraternity men from GW, all alone, about why do Greeks keep getting dragged through the mud for rape and sexual assault allegations. Sadly, the statistics aren't always in our favor. I think your point about UVA and that, yeah, some of the things that come up aren't true. A lot of them end up actually being true. And some of the stuff that's actually happening in our houses and in our chapters, we have a responsibility to address that. And if you have a man that you know is not living the life you expect him to live and the values that you espouse, you have to take action before something bad happens. We can't keep waiting as a community until crisis and then, oh, wait, let's jump in. We have to get ahead of stuff, and when someone's not living values, we have to challenge them. That's our responsibility as frequent.
Yeah. You spoke a little bit more about data approaching GW want to start chapter. Could you talk a little bit about the facts and figures of the group community right now as it stands, and whether these schools are looking to expand the number of chapters on campus?
So we take expansion really seriously. I think the challenge we've had over the years is we have too many big chapters. And if you've seen sort of what happens at GW is about 50% of our juniors go abroad, so they're traveling, which means they can't be an officer. So more and more, we have sophomores leading chapters, which is fine. We have many talented sophomores, but you're also a 19-year-old. I don't know that I was ready to manage 150 men and sometimes tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know if I could do that today. I'm 41 years old. So I think one of the challenges that we have is keeping our chapters at a reasonable level because we have a movement that our guys are like bigger is better, bigger is better. Sort of like high school where they can't get out of the mindset of the more clubs you're in, the better you are. We come here and we think, I want to be 160 because they're 150. So one of the reasons why we do expansion is to keep our chapter size a little bit lower. It's one of our goals. The challenge we've had here is every single time we have added a chapter of either men or women, the entire community gets bigger of the size of that chapter, and everyone else gets bigger too. So let's say we have a chapter Delta Sigma Pi coming right now and doing expansion. They're going to probably end up with 60 or 80 guys. However, by the spring, the entire community is going to grow by another 100 on top of that. So our effort to actually curb the size is actually still making everyone get bigger again. So I've not yet figured out why everyone really wants to go Greek to GW, but our numbers continue to grow. When I got here in 2002, Greek life was 11%. So in 13 years, we've tripled in size. So we still try to do expansion. I think the other challenge, going back to the housing point, we don't have any place to put it. And the other thing is you're in one of probably 5 big classrooms on this campus that big chapters can only use these rooms to actually meet. So other problem is being urban, we don't have that many places to be guys to actually use. So we do expansion, we try and be measured about it, and the goal of actually using that to make groups stay at a reasonable size is not worth it. Tell me when I need to stop.
I think this is going to be our last question, and
Please.
Yeah, so as the Greek community grows to be about a third of the campus, do you find that that growth is actually reflecting the cultural diversity on campus, and how do organizations like ours enhance that?
It's an interesting question. I think, sadly, I think my answer is sort of. You know, what's the best way to say? I don't know that there's a politically correct way for me to say this. Our IFC groups and our panel groups tend to still be pretty, I'll say, monochromatic. And that's real. I think that we have some groups who do a much better job of actually finding the best men instead of thinking they're looking for a certain type of person. But I think it's a challenge. I think a lot of our groups, if you look at them, you're like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure all of you have enough money to pay dues for several people. And some of those challenges. So I do think we struggle with diversity in a lot of the groups. You know, it's one of the things where Greek life, for example, has a higher retention, lots of things academically than non-Greeks. When I make that argument, which I make pretty regularly, the people who are smart enough to say, aren't the people who are in those groups already destined to do well anyway and probably retain? The problem with the question is it's actually probably true, yeah. So I would argue that Greek life on the whole is not as diverse as it could and probably should. That gets to what you're actually asking.
Okay, well, thank you so much for Okay, Brother Chad, can you please reopen the chapter? Okay, and then next, we would like to thank Stu Harper for all of his work in helping to catalog our cherry trees. He's done an amazing job to help keep track of where our chapter has been over the years. So if you want to come on up and talk to us a little bit about what you did, we really appreciate your work.
I would like to thank the Acton chapter for trusting me with the relics of our chapter over the past 100 years. It's been really interesting going through them. It's still a work in progress. We have a lot of documents, we have a lot of books. We have far more things than I thought. Now, for a lot of you know the story, about 20 years ago, my pledge brother John Platten and I liberated an amount of cherry trees from the alumni house. However, the condition they were in, they were destined to be the very dark basement with a lot of mold. Unfortunately, when they ended up in the chapter house years later, it was very similar. And so we've been slowly pulling these apart, putting the old letters into plastic sleeves. We found old invitations to all white roses for decades past. We found meeting minutes, that go back into the 30s. We found ledgers from brothers paying their dues from the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and meeting minutes going back into from the 50s and 60s, really great record. We also have a lot of meeting minutes from the 1920s. We're in the process of scanning all of these documents and uploading into the chapter habits. We're also in the process of preserving all of the antique books that we have, making sure that we're able to digitally preserve these items, but without actually damaging the books even further than where they are. A lot of them, the bindings were broken and things like that. But they tell a very interesting story about the chapter, as we can see that over the decades, that so much has changed, yet so much is really still the same. You know, it was like a lot of the same guys facing a lot of the same issues. This morning I uploaded a set of minutes from the 1960s. Brother getting suspended for not paying his dues. It's like some things never change. You know, looking at, you know, all the places where the White Rose was held and hotels that don't exist anymore. You know, there was a time when they had a house mother. Okay, we had no dish list, but you know, the possibility, it was just a really interesting transition too, like looking at the chapter, seeing how regimented they were over decades. And you take a look at the meeting minutes for the 1960s, everything was nice and typed up. By the time you get to the early 1970s, it's all handwritten. You know, everything was like, you know, definitely margins were appropriate, all of the spacing, like, you know, these people that knew how to type in the 70s, they didn't care. It's all good, but we still have it, though. That's the important thing. And so what we're doing is just, you know, filling in all the gaps, making sure that all of the, for the next 100 years, okay, that all of this information is there, okay, for everybody in the chapter so that, you know, we can see and teach everybody going forward what chapters, all that. But that's what we're doing, and I would say probably in about a year or two it should be completed. But it's a lot of documents, a lot of photos. I definitely encourage everybody to join the Delta Pi alumni page on Facebook, which is primarily where I'm putting all of this information. For that, I put stuff up on the Centennial page too for the purpose of that. But this is not going to end here. It wasn't just for Centennial weekend. It's ongoing and it's going to continue to go. And anyway, but thank you for trusting me with the documents. It's been a pleasure doing it for you guys.
Thank you. And speaking of safeguarding the chapter, we also have Housing Corps here so that they can talk a little bit about helping to safeguard the funding of the chapter for hopefully getting a house someday. So if you want to come up and talk for a little bit about how those efforts have been, and we'd like to thank you for your sponsorship of this event.
You bet. First of all, I want to say that we'll never find a finer man than Stuart Harper. He is, it's true. And there's no better person to help preserve the history of our chapter. And he's just a great guy. So I always love Stuart. He is a straight shooter. Thanks, man. I also, a little bit about me. I'm Damon Irby. I'm brother Delta Pi 970. I pledged in 1993 and graduated in 97. I want to again thank the guys who have put this all on. It's fantastic. And I also want to thank the active chapter because you guys have really come to a point in time where you have a really fantastic critical mass of guys who care about the chapter, who are excited about its future, and have done so much. So I want to thank you guys. I've been House Corporation president since, I believe, 1990 or 98. So we've seen a lot of ups and downs in the chapter. And, you know, I've congratulated these guys because they have, you know, come to great growth that we haven't seen for some time. But I also want to thank those guys that were here when things were quiet. Those guys that were here when there were 6. Because it's those guys who persevered and didn't give up. So we might be having, we are having wonderful times right now. But there were times when it was tough. And those guys stuck with it. And it's because of them that we're here. So I want to thank all you guys. The role of the Housing Corps right now, and really since the sale of the last house, has been to be a support to the active chapter, to be there when they need us. The Housing Corporation is not involved
with the rental of the current house that the guys are living in any more than I think we're a signature on a piece of paper. It's the active chapter that has the arrangement with the university to live in their house. It is a university-owned house, and I would say that it's an arrangement that has worked well. You guys know that in me probably. But they have a 12-month lease. It is a year-round house. It is not a situation where we have the house during the academic year, and in the summertime they have to vacate, right? We have it 12 months, correct?
Yeah, 10 years.
What's that?
10 years.
10 years, yeah, 10 years. So that's excellent. Will there be a chapter house purchase in the near future? I don't know. And the properties that were here when many of you were active, they're not here anymore. I mean, you can see G Street is basically gone. So the supply of houses in the area are few. However, so now our primary role is to assist the active chapter, maintain continuity, and keep things going. Now, Mark Wardzinski can't be here today. I don't know, many of you know Mark Wardzinski. He is our treasurer. And Mark is a big Buffalo Bills fan. He's from Buffalo. And it's my understanding that the Buffalo Bills are playing in London tomorrow or this week. That's what he tells me. So Mark has gone to London to go to the Buffalo Bills fan. I can't blame him for doing it. But that's basically what the House Corporation is up to. I want to open it up to questions. If anyone has questions about the sale of the house, anything like that. I didn't want to go too far in depth on it. I wanted to let you provide questions. Go ahead.
So David, can you just give all of us here a sort of quick highlight of the state of how much money do we have, the amount of earnings that we're making? What is your projected ability to support into the future? I've never seen any financial reports about this, so I really don't know.
And I'll tell you the truth, I don't have those. Mark Wardzinski is the treasurer, and I do not keep up regularly with the funding. I mean, I can go into a little bit about the sale and the debt that we had at that time, and the amount we received, and the market since then, if you would like.
Sure.
Okay. Sure. So the house was sold in 2000, and the reason it was sold was because we were not able to pay the mortgage. And it wasn't just like a month here, a month there. It came to a point where.
Was that the house on G Street?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Because I know there was a house.
Right. This is the 2028 G Street house. It came to a point where the house would be 3 months, even 4 months behind the mortgage. And that is due to a variety of reasons. There is a high debt load and large mortgage. The chapter owed, I believe, around $600,000, $550,000, $600,000 in mortgage. So it was a requirement that the house maintain almost capacity. And there came a time when people did not want to live in the house so much. It became abused somewhat, and we resorted to letting boarders live with us. Females, non-brothers. We did what we could to keep things going. But after a while, the debts mounted and mounted until it was unsustainable, and we were forced with the decision of either being foreclosed upon and losing everything, or selling. And it was a very, very sad decision. And I had nightmares. For real. Yes, there was.
Yeah, there's something to add. Going through the archives, there were decades where we also had to sometimes looking into that house that wasn't just in the late 90s. Actually, in the late 70s, the head of housing court actually filed suit against the active chapter because of the debt load, and we almost lost the house in 78, 79. I actually found that this morning. So it wasn't the only time in the history of our chapter where we had problems keeping that house occupied. So it would be actually almost lost it then, and we managed to keep it until 2000.
And I don't say any of this stuff to be negative or, you know, I'm thrilled to be here. I think it's great. But, you know, you asked a question, so I'm just kind of giving you a general overview. So we made the decision to sell the house. We actually were only able to keep them from foreclosing on us due to personal loans that certain people made, not even those. So if it weren't for some loans that were made, the house wouldn't have been foreclosed. So in the end, we were able to sell the house for approximately $1.25 million, which paid for our debt. It covered our debt. And again, this is the year 2000. So this was before the real estate boom of the mid-2000s. And it was also before the markets went south. So, you know, the account lost a lot of money at that time. And it's since come back up. But I just want to be clear, it's not like we had millions of dollars in there. But again, so that is basically, in a nutshell, what happened around that time. I was, I think, 23 years old when I started.
Just a real quick question, Danny. So you said that the housing corporation is there to support the active chapter. Can you provide a little bit more specifics on that?
Sure. About how we support the chapter. Well, for a time in those years where the numbers did get a little low, and the active chapter had some challenges paying bills from time to time. And by paying bills, I mean to headquarters. They would come in and ask for assistance in helping get things straight. This seemed to be a cycle that would take place about every 4 years, where a certain level of debt to headquarters would be built up, and then we would get another, you know, the next kind of generation, and by generation I mean 4 years, that would come in and say, yeah, we have this debt, it's not sustainable for us, can you help us? Because they had not created that debt, and I understand. And from Housing Corp's perspective, this was a little frustrating because it was happening every 4 years. And again, it's been Mark Rosinski and me. So we had seen the years. So that is an area where we would help. We would step in and try to kind of give the active chapter a fresh start.
That's follow up that.
Sure.
Yeah, guys, we're only going to have one more question after this, though, because we need to keep moving. So I'm sure that Damon will be available later if you guys want to address additional questions.
Just real quickly, are you so to see these 4 year cycles? Are we now getting ahead of so that those 4 year cycles stop?
Well, these are. I mean, I don't want to. I think we are in a place right now where the chapter has gained in its strength and has maintained for quite some time now. By some time, I would say at least the last 4 years. A level of continuity and strength. And I think we're going in the right direction. George.
I did a semi-regular contact with Mark Rosinski. There are other things you guys have done to help the chapter, like helping furnish different rental houses, things like that. So the chapter could best be support, recruitment, things like that. But you did mention that.
Thanks. Yeah, the furniture that's in the current chapter house was, my understanding, is housing full of purchase. Yeah. So I just wanted to
It's just you and Mark Rosinski in the housing board.
Yes.
Is there an opportunity for some of us to get involved with that? Or
Absolutely.
that? Like,
We would love it. It would be great. I mean, basically, during the time of the sale, again, 2000, we had a larger group of House Corporation members But let me tell you, that was a very, very stressful time. It was a sad time. Seriously, it created nightmares because we've been in there in that house a long time. I mean, it is the combined memories of so many people. And to have to deal with what it meant to say goodbye to that house and ultimately see it destroyed, which is what we presented in the long term happened. It was very, very stressful. So a lot of the guys, not that they just up and quit, but we were worn out. We were exhausted. So we can talk more. Appreciate you guys. If you're interested in joining House Corporation, let me know.
And to help talk about the chapter's continued strength, we have a couple of people who we really should thank. John Black and Dave Margulies, who are current chapter advisors. They've been invaluable in helping us as we continue to build up, and so that we don't have debt at all with nationals, because we've been able to keep ahead of it. So I'm going to give them a couple minutes to talk if they want about where the chapter is headed and their work on behalf of the chapter.
Good morning, everybody. I'll be very quick. I'll just say right from the beginning. If anybody has any questions, come see me after. It's totally fine. Again, my name is Dave Margulies. I'm one of the chapter advisors here at Delta Pi. John Black also.
I will also take questions. But,
Sorry, we just wanted to get him on camera. So.
Again, on behalf of myself, John, everybody, thank you everybody for coming. This exceeded everybody's wrong screens. Couple things. One act is do not sneak into Congress. I'm just going to say that. It's a great story. No. Again, last night, absolutely amazing. The generations mingling and different stories that people were having. It all worked out really well. Everybody's having a good time. If anybody failed the hangover test, this morning you have another opportunity tonight, I assure you. Regarding the chapter, just real quickly, John, myself, and everybody kind of keeps in touch as the alumni advisors. We're very enthusiastic about the shape and the direction of the chapter. They have the same challenges that from what I learned, every other generation had as they were going through, but they're extremely self-aware, they're very engaged and enthusiastic at the personal level, at the group level. We have a great cadre of current leaders and future leaders. So communication and cohesiveness, personal development, professional development, all things we're working on, but all things that are really working out well. So right now, I don't want to say that everything's perfect. By no means will it ever be that way, but there's a lot of enthusiasm, and things really look like they're on an upswing. There's a lot of reason for confidence and recruitment, stability, all these things that we're working on. But at the same time, we all feel very confident about it. Complacency, we're always going to be fighting that, and that's fine. But other than that, things are really good. Thank you everybody for coming. If anybody has any questions, please come see me afterwards. John, Saltzman, any others. Thanks a lot.
So I promise we're almost done. We probably started hearing people talk. We have Jay Patel coming up, and then I have a couple of remarks to make, and then we will end chapter. So, Dave, are you able to get Jay Patel on the phone?
Who's going to be on?
All right, guys, this is Jay. Jay, you're on? You can hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear, bud.
Excellent. I'm in Dallas, Texas right now, and I'm watching the webcast live. I'm watching it live with brothers in Utah, brothers in Africa, brothers all over the world. I can see the active chapter right up front there with the other members there of the ritual. So, just to give you guys an update, my dad is doing good. I had a fly out of Dallas, Texas. My father was spending time there. He checked his emergency room and something like church short of DC. But he was discharged yesterday. I knew he was doing good because he was able to catch up on reruns of the Benghazi hearing. He was very upset about the outcome. So I know he's doing very good. I spoke with so many of you guys for years to be planning. We started planning 3 years ago. And so many of you that I connected with, but you guys later. So many that I connected with you guys reached out to me and expressed their support and prayers and thank you. When I was flying to Dallas, Texas, I met someone on the plane, a lady next to me. She was about in her early 70s when she was getting next to me about 5'2" tall. But after a while, was going to live in DC. And we started talking about the things you don't provide. He asked me, well, you're celebrating 100 years. How did you get to 100 years? What made you guys come to 100 years? It made me think it. She put me on the spot. And so it was a long pause. So while I was trying to figure out the answer, I thought back to all the teachers I had, all the brothers for all the years. From the brothers from the 30s, 40s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 0 to 10. Teams. And the decision, the point I got to was that it was our weaknesses that were the important clues to our strength. There were some interesting weaknesses in our team. And so the 3 takeaways I share with I want to share with you guys. And I think the lessons learned that I learned from connecting with so many people and really benefited the active chapter that our newest members. 3 weaknesses our chapter had. One, over time, there was a lot of tension. There was arguments, heated disagreements that caused disruption. There was a time these disruptions, perhaps maybe from the disruptions allow some people to stay strong and keep the chapter going. This happened, guys, not just once or twice. It happened once a decade. That's what I'm learning. But what is interesting is that it always came back. We always bounce back. But another thing that was perceived as a weakness of ours, besides our diversity of opinions or being defeated, was the idea of losing the house. We have been in so many different houses for years. Going through the documents, we may have been through that house. The most recent history of losing the house is the one that's most unfamiliar. But the losing the house, feeling that down, that valley, one that really caused a lot of hurt and pain, was something that's also pretty powerful that made us strong. The third thing was, we have that image issue on campus, the Sigma group, our side, been around for a long time, no one knows who we are. So when I was sharing these thoughts with this grandma, this lady who was there, she said, oh, that's interesting. And I said, well, hold on though. when actually these weaknesses, I think that was a part strange. In terms of the disagreements we had on action, the diversity of personality, the healthy dialogue, different political beliefs, that actually made us strong. We know Delta Pi is something in the chat that's so diverse with different personalities. It is not like other chapters where everyone's the same guy, and everyone follows the same guy, everyone gets in line, and they're all the same. There are times when we get disagreements. Those disagreements kept some balance together. The idea of losing the house also kept some hope us. It was a new moving target. A new house, get a better place, let's make up for it, let's keep on going. And that hope and that desire, I remember, kept going alive. We didn't have this place to keep. We had no choice but to move forward. And the third challenge in the chapter would be the underdog, to move. But it wasn't particular illusion that also gives the desire to be known, be better, to know, to be greater. So it would be the penalty that is often probably in the sky. That if we embrace them, it is even greater. So I don't want to say for for those younger Christians, the newest ones there, we can, because of our weaknesses, not in spite of them. If we continue to embrace some weaknesses of ours, capitalizing them, instead of trying to eliminate them, take advantage of that, it will take us further, at least for the same, we can hopefully in our other conditions. So remember that, I hope you can see it all there. I think I'm going to get on a flight tomorrow morning and be there at 11:30 to go and try to get the flight, and I'll be showing to a lot of you. I'll really look forward to meeting whoever is there. Enjoy Pi Centennial, happy 100, all the brothers and sisters. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Jay. Jay, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you, Jay. We're all so grateful for all the work you've put in over the last couple of years. We're glad to hear your father's doing well, and can't wait to see you tomorrow, hopefully for the barbecue.
Very good. Thank you again.
All right.
Bye.
So, before I get a couple of closing remarks, I wanted to say a couple of things. First of all, we will be having a funeral ceremony after I give closing remarks in honor of the brothers who unfortunately weren't able to make it here today. But first, Dave Pepin wanted to come up and talk before. There's
a little bit of a vibe going on right now.
Funerals.
Yeah. We're doing really well right now. This is a celebration. Joined the chapter 4 years ago, just graduated. The amount of growth, the amount of enthusiasm, where we are right now is a huge celebration. Let's kind of pick up the vibe. We are not in debt anymore. We have not had to take a payment from house before since they funded the house. Woo! Everybody talks a lot about the house, losing the house. We're just happy we have one. When I came in, we didn't have people, we didn't have a house. We have that now, we got it. We did it. We have tripled, quadrupled in size, and we are sustainable. All due to incredible work of all the actors here, the guys in the back, everybody's spent in the last 5 years. So thank you all for coming. We're happy. Alex is going to close it out, but just
So I think I've had probably the hardest job of following that up. So thank you, Dave. Brothers, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you taking a weekend out of your busy lives to come help celebrate 100 years with us. It really shows your commitment to this chapter, and we would not be able to stand here after 100 years if it weren't for you alumni. You guys are our strength, and you guys have really been the backbone of the chapter through the good times and through the bad times. I'm proud to say that we are now at 39 men, including the candidates, and I think we're almost done. As Dave said, we don't have any debt, and we are going to continue growing because we have a great system in place, and we now have a pretty consistent amount of brothers across every class who are leaving, so we don't have the massive drop-offs that we've seen in the past. But it got me thinking about why has the chapter dropped off? And every time, we've always come back. We've seen ebbs and flows in the chapter, but the bottom line is we have survived. And that's because of you guys. You guys are the reason we have survived. It's our alumni who continue to make sure that this chapter survives. It's our alumni who continue to help the actives. It's our alumni who are pulling people in and helping us with Rush. So thank you guys for helping to make this happen. So when I think about it, when I got elected commander, I realized that we are literally standing on the backs of giants. We have 100 years worth of alumni who are able to help us. We have 100 years worth of lessons that we have learned and that we try to not repeat. But I think that what gets lost in this entire ceremony is the fact that we've had many commanders before us that have allowed us to be able to come into this position and to be so strong. So I would like to recognize the commanders who are in the audience, who are alumni, who have helped to make this chapter so strong. So if you wouldn't mind to stand up and But now it's not a time for saying, wow, we made it to 100 years somehow. Now it's a time for us to look forward and say, what are the next 100 years going to look like? Our chapter has been a leader on campus. We've helped co-sponsor events with SASA that very few other fraternities decided to do. We are throwing our first philanthropy event in years. We are making sure that we have the system in place to help educate our next group of leaders and helping to make sure that we have effective transitions. When I look out, our chapter is stronger than ever. I'm really excited about the candidate class we have. I'm really excited about all the new guys who are going to be taking over at the end of December. I know JR and I are counting down the days until that happens. But I guess I will leave all of the brothers and all of the alumni with this, is that this is a chance for us to really come together and to help hit the reset button on alumni relations. We really want alumni to be involved in this chapter. We want alumni mentoring. We want to help make sure that the alumni have an active part in this chapter. So I think that's on us as the actives to take the baton and carry it forward, but we also love the alumni support and we want more of it. So thank you so much for your support. And then also to the actives, we have a unique situation. We are standing at the cusp of 100 years. Now we need to decide how we're going to make it 100 more years. So we need to continue to carry the push forward. I want us to continue to be leaders on campus, and we have taken the steps necessary in order to make sure that happens. So thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to meeting everyone on the boat tonight and hopefully having a great time today. So on a more somber note, we wanted to recognize some of our alumni who unfortunately can't be here. We've had many of our alumni die throughout the 100 years. That's just mathematically what happens. But we wanted to thank you so much for all of your support, but we wanted to recognize them for all of their contributions to this chapter. So we're going to do the funeral ritual, and then we're going to give a couple of logistical announcements, and then we're going to go ahead and close chapter. So, brothers and friends, we are assembled here to learn again the lessons of our mortality, to realize once more that we have no continuing city, and to keep green the memory of our loved and lost. In the midst of our sorrow, love whispers that within us is an immortal spirit. Faith bids us believe that children and youth developing into a manly life will realize a never-ending good, and hope tells us that Deseo is but the great greeting of an eternal morning. At the end of our brother's life, we recount their virtues and remind ourselves of their friendship and sympathy. They drank deeply from the fountains of knowledge. They were disciplined in self-control. They were steadfast in their performance of every trust, and had become molded into that nobility of character designed by the supreme regent of our order. Religion will be with us as long as men hope and aspire and reflect upon the meaning of life and the responsibilities that it entails. In such a presence, we listen to the words of consolation given to us by our Heavenly Father through holy men of old.
The days of our years number 70, and if by reason of strength they be 80 years, yet is their strength labor and sorrow. As for man, his days are as the grass, as the flower of the field, so he flourishes. For the wind passes over it and is gone. Our place therefore shall know it no more. But the mercy of our Lord is from everlasting to everlasting, and his righteousness to children's children. God is our refuge, our strength, a very present help in time of trouble. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thy heart. Wait, I say, upon the Lord. Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. We believe in the gentleness, the justice, and mercy. We believe in the light of love, the ways of honor and service, and the light of truth. The spirit of our brothers, having returned to God who gave them, we commit his body to the ground, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, and dust to dust. We believe in the persistence of personality, in the mortality of memory, and hope for life everlasting. Amen. Almighty God, unto whom all hearts are open, all desires are known, and from whom no secrets are hidden, cleanse the thoughts of our hearts by the inspiration of thy Holy Spirit, that we may perfectly love thee, and worthily magnify thy holy name. World without end. Amen. Amen. To the King eternal, immortal, invisible, be glory and dominion, majesty and power, both now and evermore. Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a couple of logistical announcements. As I said, so Jordan, do you want to come up here and make sure that everyone knows where they're going to be?
Okay, 3 quick things, I promise. If you have not stopped by the chapter house yet to pick up your commemorative glassware, go do that today, please. If you purchased a ticket for a guest, you should be picking up 2. I'll give the active chapter a 5-minute head start to clean up from last night's festivities before we all send over there.
We don't care.
Just so you know, second thing, the boat will leave at 7 o'clock tonight. We need to board at 6:30. We're going to have a presentation, I believe, from National between 6:30 and 7 o'clock on board the boat. So be there on time to board at 6:30. I will arrive at 6 to start distributing tickets. So look for me when you get there. I believe there should be a table set up.
You're going to get on it.
You can get on. I honestly don't know the answer to that, but I think they're going to start boarding us around 6:30. So the final thing that I want to say is,
Where are we going?
on the boat.
No. Where are we going to get this boat?
There's a when you get 6th and Water is the address. At the chapter house, when you stop to pick up your glasses, there's a sheet that has instructions and addresses. The final thing is, due to the threat of rain tomorrow, we have moved the barbecue from the chapter house to the GW Alumni House. That building was the University Club when I was here. The address is 1918 F Street. So don't go to the chapter house if you come to the barbecue tomorrow. Go to the Alumni House instead. I believe that's it.
Wait, one question.
Yeah.
You say the invoice is cash bar enough. Is that literally cash, or will they take credit card on the boat?
I don't know the answer to that. I would assume cash. They will probably be able to take credit cards, but I assume cash.
Cash people.
We did. One pleasant surprise that I do have for everybody. We did buy a round of drinks for everybody, so you will receive a drink ticket when you get on. That's good for one beer.
I had to invent still times back in the day when you didn't have computers, things like internet and web, and I have not been able to navigate my way to get a ticket.
Okay. I can
Is
take care of
it possible to still get tickets?
it. Yes. Yes. So if somebody needs to, just direct them my way.
One more.
And I'm making an assumption that it's okay. We've already paid for the vote and given them a head count. I'm sure they will be happy to add a couple more. But if I have to add 15, we're not run out of food. But I'd rather you be there. We'll go out afterwards.
I mean, nothing but my meal to Jimmy Deason right now.
All right. Alex, I'll turn it back over to you to close the chapter. Thanks.
One more question. Do we ever need those printed out Delta Pi last weekend tickets?
No, that was just, we had to use Eventbrite to get all the cash coming in. And I didn't know that they were going to send those out. It's just, it happened automatically. So don't worry about that.
So as I said, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it, and it really helps to show our commitment to helping build ethical leaders that you guys are here, and it helps to show your commitment to the chapter for being here. So we're going to go ahead and close chapter. We also have it up here for those of you who might not remember it.